Okay, today's video is going to be a walkthrough of what is a lot of updates that have just been published. And so I'm going to try to do it as quick as I can so that this is just a quick orientation so that you kind of know what to look for and where to get and where to do everything that you normally do. Now, I think you're going to like this update a lot. It adds a lot of really cool new functionality. So let's go ahead and just get started on the really big stuff. And I've got the dashboard open here, and you're probably thinking like, where, what? There's nothing there. And that's true. Actually, nothing really major has been changed on the dashboard. So the biggest change is going to be here in the customer management area. And you're going to see that here in a moment. Now, this is a test or sandbox account, so I can do a lot of stuff here and I don't have to blur anything out or anything like that. Okay, so right away you can see that there's a lot of new information here and things have changed a bit. Okay, so let's start with everything, the layout. You'll notice that there used to be a row of buttons here, and now many of those buttons have been converted into tabs. You would have already seen transactions and social. And in putting that down here, it was kind of a prototype, a sort of proof of concept to make sure that, it works good and to give it a quick test that the tab interface does work. And it does. It was working fine. Okay, so what's left here in the header is just what you would think of as summary or header information. It shows the balance. And this information, like here, it hasn't changed. Here you have your, the name, the display name, and the address information. But down here, it's more like a set of action buttons, whereas these are things that will let you do work, but these are just quick action tabs. The sent email is no longer just a rollover, and that's just to make sure that you don't accidentally keep rolling over it and then it goes in front of your tabs. That could be kind of annoying, so you have to click it. You'll see I'm going to go into this new stuff here in a moment, and then the login, as that's the same, add payment, it will work the same. Okay, one other thing that is important to know is since the new design is going to allow you to do a lot more work on this screen now, because you can now just do things right here in the tab. And what I did was added a new button here. Actually, this has been here for a little while, but it's actually pretty new. I don't know if anybody even knew about it. But what you can do with that is you can expand the view. And all it really does is it does what this button does. It it kind of shrinks the menu down. But this one will actually remove or kind of collapse the tree here as well, so that you don't see the balance and total balance. Again, the whole idea here is to just give you more workspace. So let's say I'm going to be on the screen for a while. I'm going to do some work here. I'm going to be working with clients. I can go to the collapsed view, and now if I want to just pull up, anything, I can just type the name of it, and then it loads. This is not a good example because there's no transactions there. But let's see if there's anything in one of these other ones. Looking for something that has an invoice in it. I usually use this one, the Amy's Bird Sanctuary. But if I was on a different record like this, and then I just type Amy, as soon as it finds it, it just goes ahead and loads it. Now, the default tab will usually be transactions, but that's just assuming if you just loaded the page. So if you were on, say, users, which is kind of a new thing on here, that's sub-users, then if I was to clear the search, I'm still on users, right? If I go to other accounts, I stay on users. The same thing with any of these other ones. I'm looking at email history. If I click around, if I go to different customers, I'm going to stay on email. So it does remember which tab you were working with. Okay, so let's go back over here for a second. Now, one thing that is important to notice is there's new columns, or at least they've been expanded a little bit. I don't know if PO number was in there before. That was kind of by request. I had quite a few people asking if they could display that in that table, in that grid. One thing that you'll notice is this used to just be like most recent transactions, like just last 10 transactions. And that was not, admittedly, not all that useful. And it was the same thing, kind of a proof of concept type thing. And that I had kind of thrown in there to sort of be able to give you a kind of a preview of what's going to be in the account. But mainly you had to go dig in deeper into the invoices and other pages to go see. So now it's all right there, and you can actually filter this in several ways, and I'll show you. The first thing you can do is you can choose a pre-selected date range. So if you just wanted to see this month, I can tell it, which is nothing. If I click set default, it'll just take me back to the default, which is range, which is 12 months. And I can go to custom range. I can actually put dates in there and use a custom range. Okay, so let's just go back to default. You can also search in here. I think that was there before, but if I just knew for example, the invoice number, like if I wanted to just see 1047, maybe it was really far down the screen, I can just type it out and get right to it quickly. There's also this filter transactions now. So if you don't really need to see or don't want to see other data, like I just want to see invoices and payments, or only invoices or only payments, I can do that. And then the same thing, I can click set all to go back to, the full view. Okay, so that's quickly, very quickly how the searching and filtering would work. So statement used to be a button, and now it's just another tab. And the only thing that's really different with statement from transactions is you get a running balance, right? And the sorting is different. So on a statement, you're going to go from oldest down to newest, just like it'll be ascending, a typical statement. So it's just sequential, and then no matter what you put in here for the range, you're always going to get a balance based on the range. Not much else in here. You can do everything in here as well. I mean, so you can, all of the things that you could do here, as far as on the right click menu, I believe everything is also in this menu. And this statement screen is the same as what a customer would see, but of course they don't see the sent column, and they don't really have, they're not allowed to do any of those other functions. Okay, so back to transactions really quick here. And let's look at, okay, so users, what there used to be was a button up here called Manage Users. And that's not your users. Don't confuse that with something like staff, okay? That's the sub-users of the customer. So if I click on that, I've got one test account in here. I probably should have removed that just to show you how to add it, but it's pretty simple. If you click add, and see, normally you wouldn't be the one to do this. Actually, the customer is usually the one that adds their own sub-users, but these are here in case that, they were to call you and they're having trouble, or they don't know how to do it, or, they just ask you to do it, and you can, or if you just know who the users are and they just ask you, can you please create all our users, you can do that. But usually probably what you're going to be doing here would be things like doing a password reset for them. And that is really way, way easier now. In fact, the whole management of a user now is much easier. So you don't have to log in as the user anymore. You just go to the screen. You can pull up any user. If you want to manage, so for example, you wanted to make this person only allowed to have like billing permissions, I can send that there. Okay, so that updated. If they need to get a password reset, you can go, or even an invite email, like they've never been logged in before. So, but let's just say this one, click on that. There goes the password reset. Okay, so it's really great. I mean, and then show disabled is just like it used to be. If someone was disabled and then they're gone, right? If I want to bring it back, I can just restore it like that, no problem. Same thing with suspended. If I suspend that user, Did I do it? There we go. Okay, so that user is suspended. I can also unsuspend. There we go. All right, so that everything works pretty good there. And then, like I said, adding the user, the functionality that was there before. So, for example, there's my password reset email. So, for example, if I'm adding a new user and I want them to get an invite email as soon as I save, you can do that. Just make sure that that's clicked, and then once it saves, it will send them the invite automatically. All right, so, okay, another button that used to be up here, emails. So that's now here. And so if I want to just view an old email that went out, I can take a look at it. So this is just like it used to be, but it was on a different page. And so you can do all the same thing here. Pretty simple stuff. Customer files was also a button, and it would take you to another page. And actually, customer files is a fairly new feature, and it's actually pretty, not complicated, but it took a bit of work to make all this happen. So it's pretty cool. I almost wasn't going to be able to put files into the tab format because I thought, I don't know if there's going to be time to get it in there, because I really wanted to get this update out, but I did manage to do it, and it works also really good. So if I go to files, same thing, it will load the settings up and then load a file, load the user's files. I don't have any in here. I should put a couple in. Okay, let's move on. Social is it's not enabled on this account. But if you want to know more about the social tab, because this was already turned on before, there is a video for that shows you exactly how to get this to work. And this will basically show all the social media links, and actually it'll put the information right in there for you. It's pretty cool. Okay, so that's all the tabs. So basically everything that was up here, that used to be up here, has been moved to a tab. And it's really great because it means that you don't have to leave this screen at all to work with customers. I mean, you can just go to another customer with a click and you're there. All right, so that's that. Now, the next thing is email templates have changed. Not changed, but they're better. Okay, so let's go out of the collapse view and let me go over to the email template setting. And you're going to see right away a little bit of a change here. This interface has been completely redone. If you hadn't seen this before, which you probably haven't, because only a couple beta testers had access to this custom email template feature. But now anybody can create a custom template. So the template edit screen is better. It's changed. One of the things that I really like about it now is you could go, say, for example, into the template. And let's say, like, I don't want to say full name. I actually just want to say dear first name. So I can highlight that. And now you can actually click on the merge field. So I'll just put first name. And you'll see it replaced it. All right, so let's cancel out of that screen because I do want to show you that you can click add. There we go. Okay, so if you're on a custom template, you get to put the name, and then you put the subject in here, however you want it to be. All right, and create your whatever template you want, and then you'll be able to select it whenever you're sending emails, and then we'll show down here. Other than that, you know, the template design, the editor is the same, just the screen has been enhanced a little bit to make it a little bit easier to use. Okay, so that's just one part of this. The second part that is really great is back here on, again, on the manage customer screen, because although these two behave exactly the same, this is different. Now, when you click send email, the first item that's the default is to send using template. Now, this is not going to take me to another screen. That's actually going to give me a pop-up, or a modal we call it. And this is the generic one, so I just said send using template. And so the default template is always the account summary. That's just by design. And you'll see it already loaded that in here for me. I didn't have to do anything. It's already selected. And then these are some outstanding invoices that if I want to include in the email, I can just go like this. let's see what else. Of course, like usual, you can do the send a copy to this email is an optional thing. And then when you're ready to send, you're just going to click the send button. I'm going to uncheck these, and I don't need to send the confirmation. So when I send it, it gives me a confirmation, and then I'm back on the screen again. So you see, I don't have to keep jumping around into the send email screen or back in between different accounts. I mean, I can just stay right here. Okay, so what are these other ones for? So if you select one of these items and you don't go over here and say to send using the template, these are what I call like a quick send. So if I click that, it's just going to let me do it. I don't have to do anything. And it's going to send like an account summary, would be the case. Same thing with this one, like send past due notice. It's smart. It knows actually the aging already. So if I click send past due notice, in this case, it already knows that it's a tier 3. It's past due by, say, over 30 days, whatever the threshold I set. And so when this screen renders, it knows what, Amy's Bird Sanctuary. It already knows the aging. Now, if I don't want to use tier 3, if I go like this and I say, I don't want to send tier 3, I can go over here and say, well, send it using the template. And now with the template, so it defaults to tier 3, I can say, send tier 2 instead. Because tier 2, the wording is not as strong. Maybe I know who this customer is and they just need a friendly reminder. I might even just do tier 1, right? So yeah, I might choose tier 1 because tier 1 has the verbiage is just a friendly reminder, right? Because I don't need to do that. So I'm not going to send that one at this point, but that you get the idea, right? And then these other ones, again, these are where you find you'll find these to be very useful. So if you're just doing a password reset, it's just quick. You don't have to go to any other screens to do that. But also, like I said, if you're going through accounts and you're looking for accounts that require follow-up, it's very fast. If I just want to send out that quick, boom, past due is out, already done. Account summary, sent. So you'll see, and then I can just move on to the next one, to another account, and I can work on this one, and so on. And if from any of those accounts, I can do the same thing. I can pick off this menu and send emails. So you can really quickly go through your accounts and send out all of your billing reminders and everything to your customers. So that's really great to do that. Again, you might want to be in expanded view like this one, because you can probably spend a lot of time just in this view alone getting a lot of work done and not have to leave here. The goal, by the way, is that you can stay on the screen just almost all the time and do everything from one place. So for example, if I'm even doing payment, or I'm doing, what's another one that I want to move in here? Oh, you're probably wondering, what about editing the customer? That's still there. So when you click on the name, that's one way to go into it, by the way. The other way, I'll show you, one sec. Let me go back. So you might already know about this, but I'll just show it one more time. If you click on the name here, you can also double click here. There we go. Okay, so I double clicked it and it's going to open it. All of this information, all of this is going to be moved into a tab in the Manage Customer screen. So you'll notice a lot of the buttons are gone here now because we no longer manage those on individual screens anymore. Now, I do realize that that's a little bit of a temporary pain, because that means that if you do want to go, if you're on this screen, you happen to be on this screen, in order to get back, in order to look at things like invoices and statements, you're going to have to go back to your customer list and actually manually, pull up Amy's in here. Now it's the first one, so it's not a big deal. Let's take a really quick look though at the customer side. There's a couple small differences, so let's check that out real quick. The first thing that you'll notice is the layout's a little bit wider. You'll see that this also has a tabbed interface, so you don't have statement up here anymore, or sales receipt, like everything, all transactions now show down here. Okay, so now if you right click, you see you can just do a couple of things. It restricts, obviously, the user to only what a customer can do. But they can still go in here, open payments and the invoice. And then they can also filter this down by the a date range, and you can also use the transaction filtering, the type. Statement, same, also it just looks about the same as what we saw on the staff side of the portal. And files. Now files used to be, if you just had loaded the page, they just show below here. But rather than putting them below, we just have them in another tab. So that's the changes on the customer portal are not that, there's not that many. It's mainly just in here looking at transactions and statement and files being in a tabbed interface. But if you click on payment, like all of that stuff is exactly the same. So that's it for now. I hope this helps a little bit with getting you ramped up to using, the new interface. I think I would really like to hear any feedback. So if you have feedback, feel free. If you want to comment, with things are being kind of fluid right now, this is a great time to let me know, because making changes now is a lot easier than later when things have been set up and released and a lot of people are using it. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy the new features.